Hey everyone, how's it going? We are finally back for another PoE 2 video. Obviously with the holidays it's been a little slow, but I have finally gotten to Endgame. And this is my map so far for Endgame, and this is going to be my build for Endgame. I've been trying not to use any guides, so this isn't a guide on how to be super powerful. This isn't a guide on how to just click one button and delete everything on the screen. I wouldn't even call it a guide. It's just kind of my experience and just going through the game and trying to make a build as naturally as possible. I've had to switch it up a good bit recently since getting to the end game because I was just dying. So the build's a little different from my Act 3 update video. So let's go into it and see. So the first skill that we're going to go through is the Herald of Thunder, which activates when we killed shocked enemies and releases lightning attacks the more that we do damage, which is super clutch for this build because it's all lightning based for supporting skills. I'm not sure if this one's actually helping, and it's super random because it's a proct, so it's very random. Increased accuracy and then chance to blind on hit comes in really clutch actually. The next one's Flicker Strike, which is in a lot of these builds that I see. It's pretty self-explanatory. Usually I'm using Flicker Strike from a distance, so that extra 40% is really clutch right there, as well as increase elemental damage. And before that, close quarter combat, since you're gonna be doing damage right next to enemies when you Flicker Strike. Siphoning Strike's gonna be our main way of building up combo points. Super reliable. Everything's usually shocked, so it works well for this build. I did that instead of the one where they're at low health. Can't remember what it's called. That's a big difference. We switched that out. So yeah, anytime that something's shocked, you can use Siphoning Strike and it'll give you a combo point. Shocking hits will cause other enemies to shock. There's a percentage chance there. Energy recovery when doing a killing blow to a shocked enemy, and then a 50% chance to gain an additional shard, which is super clutch. Lingering buff, or Lingering Illusion, don't have any support gems on it, but it is kind of nice. It does proc every once in a while. It's kind of random, but I like it. For Charge Staff, Lightning Infusion as a support, Persistence, which is extra skill duration, which is super clutch, and Perpetual Charge, so it has a chance to not remove charges. Super clutch as well. Tempest Bell, it's mainly just increasing its radius with our support gems. That is what Magnified Effect does, as well as Expanse. And then this one just makes it so that it uses a power charge, can't generate any, which I don't believe it does anyways. So, and it increases the critical hit chance. Storm Wave is going to be our main way of doing damage from a distance, which in the video you'll see is super clutch. More chance to shock, just so that I can get shocks going before getting into melee range. Attacks always maim on hit, and then long shot just increases damage at a distance, which is great. Ghost Dance is the solution to my dying problem in the end game. I was dying quite a bit. My resistances aren't that high, we'll look at that later, but Ghost Dance really solved that issue for me. Less effect duration, which I believe means that you get your other shades back quicker. And then finally, Tempest Flurry. Again, pretty self-explanatory. I've already gone over it before, and I don't think anything's really changed. It's just attack speed, increase to damage, and then magnitude of shocks. So I believe that's what it was in the previous video, but it's all there to increase my lightning damage, and it's all there to hopefully shock a lot of enemies, which is the main function of the build and kind of how I get most of my damage out. If we go to the character screen, this is my energy shield. and my spirit, my evasion. Oh, the evasion is important because it actually, the energy shield that you get back due to the persistent buff is based off of your evasion percentage. So evasion percentage being high is pretty important. Spirit, we increased our spirit by quite a lot because I refunded my passives here and went to lead me through grace, which increases my spirit based on my evasion and shield, and I no longer get bonuses from it from armor. So that was a pretty big change. For the rest of the passive skills, it's just increase in damage. We go to this one to increase our attack speed. Over here, these nodes will get us evasion rating and shield recharge, skill speed, and then we have a little bit of an area of just getting nodes for dexterity and intelligence. Up here, we go to elemental damage, which is obviously lightning, and that's where that's pretty much what the build is focused on, is just all lightning. I know that some of these builds are mixed with cold. This one's not. So we go and pick up this huge node area. Back to evasion rating and energy shield, as well as attack speed with those nodes over there. Over here, we go to lightning skill speed. These are all just lightning based. It's attack speed, as well as cast speed, but importantly for us, attack speed with lightning skills, which we have plenty of to take advantage of that. Increased chance to shock, as high as I can get it. As high as I can get it while making the build work in other areas as well. Well, our gems here, this one's pretty useless. This one is not. 4% increased attack speed. We go to some more nodes for dexterity, but then we go into more lightning, increased chance to shock, and just lightning damage. Very important, obviously. I needed a huge chunk of intelligence at one point. It's actually not that necessary anymore. That might be something that I change. That might be something that you might want to change if you're following this. But intelligence isn't as important as it was before for me. But then we come to the quarterstaff tree, and the big one is the plus 25 to dexterity. That saved my ass with stat requirements, and obviously it just increases what we need for quarterstaffs, which is super important. So that's kind of the quick TLDR of the tree. We go to our items, and we've got the quarterstaff that we're using, which is a lot of lightning damage and a lot of physical damage, which is pretty much exactly what we're looking for. The rest can help, but I think that's the most important part of it. If I could get rid of something, it'd probably be the stun duration. For our hood, fire resistance is what we need there because our fire resistance is very low. Evasion rating, energy shield, evasion rating and energy shield, lightning resistance. The life regeneration per second is just unfortunate. Couldn't roll anything better. Increased mana regeneration for our talisman. I spent a lot of time gambling for this one. I just needed cold resistance. For our chest, just more fire resistance, evasion rating, energy shield. It's all going to be pretty much the same, what I'm looking for with the items that I'm using. The next couple of items, this one, not so much. This one is actually useful with the lightning resistance, evasion rating, maximum life, maximum mana. This ring, still trying to get rid of. Can't find any good replacements for it, so the cold resistance is nice. As well as the increase in lightning damage. The boots and the gloves is just unfortunate right now. The fire resistance is good, but it's still a low level, as well as my belt, actually. My belt has 23 armor, which is not very useful. But it does have +1 charm slot, which is great. Yeah, these three at the bottom, these last three that I'm going over, just haven't been able to find better replacements. The increase to armor, evasion, and energy shield, I would rather replace with resistances, but you can't replace sockets, as far as I know. Let me know if I'm wrong. Chaos resist and cold resist. The cold resist I'm actually probably going to swap out for fire resist, since my fire resist is only at 8, and my chaos resist is only at 10. So it is highly recommended to have everything at 75. I'm nowhere near that. So a lot of work to do on the armor side of things. My flask and both my flasks are ultimates. No problems there. I don't think I ever use a mana flask regardless. So, but that is pretty much the breakdown of the build. With the Atlas perks, I am going the way of increased drop rate and rarity, mainly for the waystones. It seems like I just want more waystones to drop. So that's pretty much the build. We'll get into the gameplay now. All right, so now what we'll do is go into a tier 2 map and take a look at some of the things I was talking about. Again, this isn't a guide on how to one-shot everything on the map. I'm very much a Dark Souls Souls-like player, and that's kind of what this build is. It's not so much delete everything on screen. Still have to dodge, still have to kind of be aware of things. But right off the bat, we're using Stormwave to try and get that shock going. And then once we get the shock, we do a siphoning strike and start building up our combo points. Drop the bell as often as you can. From this gameplay, you'll see that there's just such a lack of the bell, which was commented on some of my previous videos, that I don't use the bell enough. It's 100% correct. Like, use the bell on cooldown. There's no reason not to. I don't know why in my head I have it that I only have a certain number of bells. The good thing is regardless, it does so much damage. The combination of Tempest Flurry with the Charge Staff is great. So take advantage of that, and it's enough to start procting lightning everywhere and getting enemies shocked. Throw in the Flicker Strike whenever you have 3 charges, and I don't know if it matters, actually, now that I think about it, if Charge Staff being at 3 is just the time that it's up, or if it's also the power, how much damage it's doing. I personally like to just have them both at 3/3, and that's when I start just throwing out the Flicker Strike. But if that's not the case, and I'm wrong, which I will probably actually look up after this video, prioritize getting the 3 charges, and then as long as you've got the Charge Staff, just throw out those Flicker Strikes like crazy. I won't do it as often in this video because usually it's better to look with hindsight and notice that kind of thing. But the moment you hit 3/3, throw them out. Again, if I'm wrong about needing the Charge Staff to be at 3, throw it out as soon as even before the 3/3. You can throw it out at 1/3. And that's really where Flicker Strike does great. Thanks to the lingering persistent buff that gives you a charge for when you dodge. It's a little inconsistent, I've found, but usually after Flicker Strike, if I dodge out, if there are enemies that are shocked, I will do a Siphoning Strike on those enemies that are shocked and then dodge out of the way. A lot of times that actually gets me back up to 3 charges, and then you can just throw the Flickering Strike out again. Flickering Strike itself is not going to inflict shock because of the support gem that we have on it, but if enemies are already shocked or you're getting shock from some of our other abilities, it'll be there for them to shock after you're done with your Flickering Strike. So as you can tell, that's kind of the rotation of the build. Later on, you'll see on one of the bosses that I really just have to use the ranged Stormwave. Luckily, it does a very healthy amount of damage. I'm really happy with the amount of damage that Stormwave does. So if things get a little hectic, don't be afraid to just use Stormwave. Take your time, kind of kite things, and just keep using Stormwave. Right here, you'll see that amount of shock happens so often. It's obviously RNG, but when it happens, just take advantage of it. Use your Flickering Strike, use Siphoning Strike. Siphoning Strike will do a ton of damage as well. And it'll kind of just clear out enemies. It does get a little tight at times, but that's what's worked for me. And again, a big purpose of me doing these videos is to kind of just show I've seen stuff on social media, but I haven't looked at a build guide or anything like that. Like, that's how I know what builds. I know that I think right now the best monk build is a cold and shock one. I mean, this build has no cold on it because I just committed to lightning in the skill tree, and that's what I'm doing. So, and the end game's going well so far. I'm not sure if I'm going to hit a roadblock or not. That'll probably be another update video of me either saying, hey, this build sucks, can't get past tier 3. Or it'll be, hey, I had to kind of move these things around just like I did when I went in the end game for the first time. But yeah, I'm gonna cut out some of the boring parts of this and then just let it finish out. And hope you guys enjoyed. Leave a like, sub for more. I'm gonna be doing a lot more of these now that the holiday season's over. And I'll see you guys on the next one.